This evening we stopped off at where the formidable scion, the one who would carry on the name of his family, Pandava Kula Bhushan Raja Parikshit, the great Parikshit, Sukadev Vyasji explained how Sukadev would become the one conversant with Bhagwat Katha and the great merit that he earned and the pristine glory that he possessed because of being able to recite the glories of the Bhagwat Nigamakalpatanoras Galitam Phalam Shukamukadam Ridrava Sangyutam. This is the great Sukadev himself. Raja Parikshit, having gained a vision of Bhagwan Sri Krishna in the womb, that quest and eternal search for God continued even when he came into this world. The Pandavas, having gotten to the stage of their life when Bhagwan Sri Krishna would depart the earth, and they not being able to stay without him, they will install Raja Parikshit as king, and they would leave for the higher realm. Suji bole he Shaunak Mahabhagwat Parikshit jab Brahman ko shiksha prithvi par raksha karne janma samay ke vidwan aakar jaise jaise kun gaya the. The great Parikshit, under the counsel of the noble and saintly souls, the rishis, he would rule this earth very piously and righteously. Vaise hi sab mahagunan mein sampann hua hai. This was his innate nature because he came from a family of nobility and great kings who administered justice and who were very fair and impartial. And as such, he adopted Raja Parikshit, Raja Uttar ko put Iravati Sata Vivaha. In time to come, he grew into a young man, and he would wed Uttara ki putri, the daughter of the great Uttara. Her name is Iravati. Usse Janmijayadi Char Putra utpann hua hai. They would give birth to 4 sons headed by the noble and virtuous Janmijay, who would become the great king that sat to listen to the katha of Devi Mahat, the great goddess herself. Brahmano anek prakar dan dakshina dekar 3 ashwamedh yajna kiya hai. Growing up and having entered into grihastha, he would perform countless of yajnas and sacrifices and give dan dakshina, give deserving to the Brahmins. 3 ashwamedh yajna kiya hai. He did 3 ashwamedh yajnas. Many different type of yajnas are prescribed. Why is yajna important? Why do we do this? What is the importance of doing this? This is, today one of our senior pundits spoke and he says this would have been brought to us by our foreparents when they landed on these shores more than 170 years ago. And it is still maintained up until now, but why do we do it? What is the need for it? The older ones, we understand the need for it. I put myself in your category. That we understand the need for it. We come from homes that do it. We have grown seeing it. But for the younger ones amongst us, to whom this is not a way of life or who is not accustomed to seeing it, how do we explain to those that this is a continuity of your parampara, of your tradition? Because most times you ask them, where you going? We're going in our prayers. Why are you going? Because my mother got invited, or because my father got invited, or because we had a showy face. Yeah? But if you were to ask them the real reason for going, or ask them to afford an explanation of why they have to go, and the only time you truly know that you don't know is when somebody of a different faith asks you, well, what is that you're doing? And why do you all do that? Then you stop and you think, oh my God, how do I explain this? And that is very important. Younger ones must understand. So Ashwamedh Yajna is one type of yajna that is performed. It was performed in days of gone by royalty, by the great kings. I don't think we have them anymore. I have not heard of them, Panditji. I don't know. The Rajputs of India, they still maintain a strong heritage. They are descendants, some of them are descendants of Suryavanshi. They are descendants of Bhagwan Sri Ram. They still exist until today. And some of Yayati's Vansh, Bhagwan Sri Krishna would have destroyed most of his generation, but some of them, a few of them still remained Even up until today, they still maintain their heritage. We don't know if it's performed still. But that's one type. This type that we perform, this one particular one, is called Saptaha. The word Yajna in itself means sacrifice, and from the Vedas, Yagyavai Vishnuhu. We are told that Yajna is an embodiment of God Himself, the Supreme Lord, whether we choose to refer to Him or her as the case might be. The Vedas have no gender attached to God. Our friends of different faith that live within our society, the Christians believe in many different, just as we do, they have many pathways that they ascribe to. If you go Old Testament, you believe in God and the Supreme Being, and if you come New Testament, from the advent of Jesus Christ, well then that's a different belief. It's similar to us, having various texts, various scriptures. Our Islamic brothers believe in the Holy Quran, and they are different sects just like us. We have Sanatanists, we have Kabir Panthis, we have the Vedic, we have different streams of Hinduism. So too the Islam. You have the Shiites and the Ralph is here. Shiites and the Sunnis. There are two sects of Islam that has branched off. How many of you know that? Yeah, they are. They are. Bhushan is shaking, yes. I'm not a scholar, but I read. We have to know we live in amongst a society that is different. We have friends of all nature. So this is religion, and our sect is no different. We have the Vedas, we have those who believe in the teachings of all of the scriptures, we have those who believe in one particular sect, and it's the same. But it is one God. Ekam Satya Vipra Bahuda Badanti. There is one God that is classified by many different names. Same God, Ekoham Bahusyam. In the Vedas, I am one and I wish to become many. And that is how all of us are here, through the instrument of the Saptadishis. So Yajna is sacrifice. This is one form of sacrifice that Norris and his family undertakes. They fast with the accompaniment of Vedic mantras. They would pour oblations into the fire. They would give dakshina to the holy ones, to those who are the preceptor of the mantras in the form of the pandits like myself and the many pandits that are here. They are the carriers of the Ved, and as such they are deserving of the sacrificial gifts that have to be given and such. This is one arm of Yajna, but it is by no means the only one. Yajna is also sacrifice that you make in your daily lives. When you get up in the morning, the things that you do, the restraint that you exercise in making decisions in your lives. And that is very important, because those decisions that you make, they influence the quality of the life that you would live in this life and in subsequent births, should there be any. And that is most important, my dear friends. That is perhaps where we have to take cognizance, or take a greater and develop a greater understanding of what is sacrifice. So this is one aspect of sacrifice, Yajna, and it is the root of our religion. Our religion is rooted on this Yajna. That's why it's done so much across the country. Anywhere you go, different types there are. In days gone by, there was only Bhagwat Saptaha. Lots of Bhagwat you used to get. Now you get Devi Bhagwat and Shipuran, and you have Ramayana Katha and all of these. But in days gone by was Panchauti Yajna. Norris family was sharing that with me, and even from my own family's experience. Satyanarayan Katha, when you say you want to do Katha and Jandi, some of the younger pandits don't understand why Katha and Jandi. So this is part of our heritage, this is our culture, this is our tradition that has been brought. And it is incumbent upon us to maintain this tradition. And for us to maintain it, the younger ones must have a thorough understanding of why it is to be done. And what is the purpose of doing this Yajna? When we perform Yajna, one gets what is called Atma Shuddhi. Atma Shuddhi means there is a purification of the soul. The soul by itself is stainless, colorless, all of those things. But loosely we use the term soul. And why do we need to purify? Because the soul is on a transit, it's on a journey across births until it eventually attains God. So it's like us traveling to our destiny, and we have connecting flights. We have to go to a very far distance to Australia or so forth. You can't get a direct flight, can you? Well, I may be subject to correction, but as far as I know, you can't. So you have to take connecting flights, and with each flight there's a different experience. Soul is the same. It's going through different bodies for different experiences, all in an attempt to return to its true state, its ultimate state, which is oneness with God. And that is what all of this helps, aids, assists, however you want to describe it. And not only this, but every single minute detail of our lives, our thoughts, our words, our actions, that in itself, greatest yajna is to sacrifice desire into the fires of the soul. Even that is classified as yajna. So Ashwamedh yajna, he did such a किसी समय राजा को सा वेश धारण किए शूद्र गौर बैल को पांव सो मारता कलयुग को दिग्गज अपने पराक्रम राजा को पकड़ा है. On one occasion, of course, when he had completed all of this and he was ruling for a long time, he got news of a particular incident that was taking place in a part of his country. With the coming of the age of Kali Yuga, this is Hindu concept of time is totally different from Western time. Coincidentally, it sums up to the same age of the universe. So how Western scientific time calculates the time of the universe, the lapse of the universe from creation until this point, Hinduism calculates it differently but ends up at the same point. It's the only religion that ends up at the same point. That's how great our dharma is. Your dharma, my dharma. So this age is called Kali Yuga. It's the age. It's a long process to explain. In brief, it is called a yug. Yug is a measure of time. Its total span is 432,000 human years. That's this age that we're living, this particular age, this particular period of time, according to the Hindu concept of time. Just over 5,120 years has elapsed so far within this age. It's marked by the ascent and the descent of the Divine Lord. That is what forms the threshold or the breaking point to calculate the start, the end of one age and the beginning of another. Simple example. What day of the week is today? Monday? Monday? When does it end? When does Monday end? I want to welcome my young brother Pandit Naresh. When does it end? When does Monday, the day Monday end? Not the date, the day. Oh my God, I alone this tell time. 12 o'clock tonight, very good. Thank you, Amar, you're a teacher. And when does Tuesday begin? 12:01, yes. So the midnight hour is the breaking point for the big ending of one day and the beginning of another. So too is the avatar. That's why avatars are so important in our dharma. That's a basic understanding. It's one of the pillars of our dharma. So when Bhagwan Sri Krishna left the earth, it heralded the end of the age of Dwapar. Dwapar is 864,000 human years. And it heralded a different time, a different period, and with that period comes a different mode. So in the age of Kali Yuga, it's totally different, and you all can see it. You just have to look around. You don't have to go very far. Look at what's happening in society and you will see it. Kakoshundi explains best to Garud in Uttarakhand the characteristics of the age of Kali, and so to the Garud Puran, many of our scriptures. So with this coming age, the Lord of this particular age is Raja Kali. Parakram Raja ke pakde. He heard that the influence, Sri Krishna had just left the earth. So the age of Kali had began, and there the king of this age, particular ruler of this age, was exerting his influence. शौनक जी बोले, हे राजा परीक्षित, दिग्गज किसी लिए कलयुग को पकड़ा है, राजा को चिंधन वाले शूद्र कौन पाव से गौ को मारता है. He was described, disguised as a great king, Raja Kali, and he was performing a particular act in this disguise that he had assumed. सुजी बोले कि जा परीक्षित, कुरु जंगल देश में वस्तु है, अपने चक्र से रक्षित राजा कलयुग आता जानकर बहुत अमंगल बात सुनो, परीक्षित धनुष को बांध लिया है. When he heard of this, a bull, Brishab, and a cow, guy, both were standing in a conversation, and this king in a disguised form bore a club in his hand, and he was brutally striking the bull and the cow again and again. In our scriptures it has ahimsa paramo dharmo. There is no greater dharma than practicing ahimsa, non-violence, not only to mankind but to the creatures of the Lord. That's why as Hindus we are supposed to be vegetarians, supposed to be. Paramo dharmo, it is the highest dharma. The greatest compassion is for the lower species of mankind, not man. If you can have feelings for the created forms of the lower created forms of the Lord, you will definitely have for mankind. So he took his bow and his arrow, और सेनापति बुलाकर राजा शीघ्र को सुंदर सिंहार किए, श्याम वर्ण घोड़ा जिसके सिंह ध्वज के रथ बैठे हो. Beautiful chariot he ascended. और चंद्ररामनी सेना संग लेके धिजुक निकल गए हैं, and he arrived at that spot in Kuru jungle. This evening, the 2 o'clock session, I would have shared with you when the great sages were asking, how is it that this great Parikshit, the ruler of Kuru jungle, was able to listen to this Bhagwat? And like this, of course, Bhadra Ketul Bharta Varshi Kim Purushari Varsharamya Hiranyamay Ityadi. He goes to that spot, and when he gets there, he notices, of course, a most spectacular feat. ऐसे राजा के यहाँ और रात दिन उसकी वृत्ति है, पूर्व पुरुष भांति राज्य करते हैं, थोड़ा हो रे पेज एक ऐसा आश्चर्य हुए हैं. Listen to what he said. वृषरूपधारी धर्म एक पद से चलते हैं. The bull was standing on 1 feet. It has 4. It was standing on 1. और इसके 3 पद टूट गए हैं. The other 3 legs were broken. आंखों से आंसू बड़े रहे, कांतहीन बछड़े के नष्ट हो गए, सबकी माता प्रकृति गौर रूप किए उसके समीप खड़ा हुए हैं. The cow who represents the goddess earth herself, tears in her eyes without her child. She stands there, समीप खड़ा, और दोनों परस्पर कूचे वार्तालाप कर रहे हैं. Both of them are being tortured. This is the description that is used by Parikshit figuratively. But what it means is that the bull represents dharma. Dharma is the law of the universe, and dharma is what governs everything, including us and our lives. Every aspect of our lives is an extension of that divine law that is called dharma. It comes from the word dhrit. Dhrit means to support. So we use the term dharma loosely to mean religion, a way of life. But dharma is the consequences, including karma falls under the actions, the broad umbrella of the term dharma. The bull represents that dharma. The cow represents, of course, the oppressed earth. This earth that we live on, which is very near and dear to Bhagwan Vishnu. So, आँखों से अम्बे, तुम अच्छे तो मुख मलिन कैसे क्या हो? And Parikshit arrives, and before he says anything, he looks and he listens to a conversation that takes place between the both of them. तो अच्छे हो? The bull is asking the cow, are you okay? मुख मलिन से रहे हैं, छीन दिखायत देते हैं. Why is your face in such a state? It seems to be stained and it bears a sign of great depression. आपके हृदय कुछ पीड़ तो नहीं है? What is there that is overtaking your heart? अथवा तुम्हारा बंधु दूर नहीं चले गए हैं? And you don't have any friends and family to stand and to support you. You are all alone. जिस कारण तुम्हारा यह दशा है, इज दिस वाई यू आर क्राइंग एंड यू आर ग्रीविंग? क्या तुम्हें मेरे पेट तूते गो को सोच गया तो मुड़ोते हैं? आर यू लुकिंग एट माई कंडीशन, दैट आई एम स्टैंडिंग ऑन वन लेग एंड थ्री ऑफ माई लेग्स आर ब्रोकन, and you are feeling sorry for me, and that's why you are shedding tears? On a different level, it begs the question, they also have feelings, don't they? Tell me, my dear friends, if you take up something and you strike an animal, they don't cry with pain? Cows are those of you who have taken care of cows, if you know cows, if they are struck, they will bear that pain and stay quiet. Very rarely that pain had to be strong, really, really intense, that they will make an outburst. But if you know the nature of cows, guy, wahi matab gaon hai, they can be struck, their feet, their hooves can be bled, and the pain is intense and they don't utter a sound. You will see the tears coming from their eyes. Those of you who have taken care of cows, if you will notice and you look at them, you will see it. Very rarely they will make noise on a few occasions. When they want milking, if they have bache, if they have young ones and they're looking for it and they can't find it, they go give up in breath looking for that. But other than that, they don't utter a sound if they're hungry. Just like we. Hungry man is a hungry man. Yes. But if they get pain, they stay very quiet. This is the nature. So he says very beautifully, he looks at her. कदाचित तुमको क्या मेरे पुत्र माता पिता के रक्षा करते हैं? क्या है संताप है? What is the trouble that you are having? मिले कि मैथुन करने ऊपर करे. And he goes on to ask her in many different ways when she doesn't give an answer. और बैल रूप धारण की कोई देवता है? Are you a देवता? तुम नहीं हो, तुम मुझे ब्रंक डाल दो कौरव भोजदंड को पृथ्वी पर तुम्हारे किसी प्रतिमान. That fear, have no fear, speak, I am here. Nothing, no harm can come to you. Tvam mrinamal paundarya sada charan vrishurupa kim kaschit devo padikedayan. Who are you, O great one, and what is the cause of? Tum kalyan hoga dushta ko dand dene wale. I am here to seek your interests. Do not be afraid of him. जिस राजा के देश में साधु प्रजा दुष्ट दुखित होते हैं, duty of a noble and pious leader is to protect the religious praja, his subjects. दुष्ट को दुखित होता है, rid the community of those who cause difficulties to the noble. उस मंद राजा को चरण गुण कीर्ति आयु ऐश्वर्य को पर लोग हो नष्ट हो जाते हैं. If one occupies a position and does not this, then they are at sin for everything that happens. राजा को यह परम धर्म है. It is the highest law of a king to be noble and righteous, fair, impartial. और दूर करे इसलिए कि मेरे दुष्ट को जाने. So if he is causing harm to you, my job is to protect you. Tell me, तुम शीघ्र बताओ, उसके हाथ कटूंगा. Tell me, who are you? And when Dharma bole Pandava Vanshio ko, the bull standing on one leg says, O illustrious one of the noble line of Pandu, युक्त है जिन गुणों से वशुभ भगवान दूत को कर्मा स्वीकार किए हैं. Listen and for yourself draw your own conclusion. Arrive at a deduction. Our religion is based on schools of proofs, or praman, what is called praman. One of them is something called deductive reasoning. So the religion, when the sages constructed the religion, they had to get others to follow and to have a belief system. And how you just believe something, my dear friends? If a fella come and tell you something and he say he sees something, do you believe through him? Or if you see it for yourself, you just believe more? Or if you read it and it comes from an authentic source, you form, that's called praman, that's called proof. So in the Devi Bhagwat, a group of pandits called the Nayak Pandits, they established 9 modes of proof upon which the religion is based. One of them is called inference or deductive reasoning. And that's what the bull is asking Parikshit to do. He says, I can't tell you. I can't tell you for yourself. listen and deduce. मैं नहीं जानता. I can't say. जिनके वचन को मद से जीव विमोहित होते हैं, कोई विल पादी आत्मा से आत्मा को मानते हैं. You are looking at my condition and the condition of the cow. Some say, "O great king, that oneself is responsible for the condition that one is in." In other words, if I am going through trouble, some say that I am to be blamed for that. So this is the first school. कोई भाग ईश्वर कहते हैं. Some blame their fortune, or some blame the direction of their lives on God. They believe that God is the cause of this. If they go through trouble, God give them trouble. If they get good things, God give them that. कोई ईश्वर है. Some blame God. And we do, We do. Some of us say that God is unfair to us. What does God have to do with the actions that you perform? Does God come inside and say, get up in the morning and do the wrong thing? हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चेतना तरोरे. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चेतना तरो. अरे सोई के पार करो रे. हमारे प्रभु अवगुण चेतना. God, you give me. It is because of my merit that I have gotten this soul, this body. You gave me the intelligence to think, and out of that intelligence I make decisions. Out of those decisions, I am the one that made those decisions. And when I am made to have to become the recipient of the decisions I made, I come to you and say, God, you are unfair to me. Strange is life, isn't it? So he says, कोई भाग्य कहते हैं, कोई कर्म को, some blame karma. They say this is what we have done. कोई स्वभाव को प्रभु मानते हैं. Same बाबा, काल ही, कर्म ही, ईश्वर ही, मित्र दोष लगाए. रामायण. Same, no different. कोई स्वभाव. Some blame स्वभाव. स्वभाव is the gun, the nature that comes from innate quality that is there. One is born with that. No environmental condition can change that. Environmental constraints play no part in the influence of that inner nature. That is called an inner nature. It's called habit forming natures. That comes from, that's entrenched in the seed of our souls from karmas from past births. That's sanskaric. So that is called gun, it's called swabhav in the Ramayana. In the Ramayana tells you kal, karma और स्वभाव. वो तीन जीवात्मा के आगमन चक्र को आने जाने हैं. Time, karma and swabhav, nature. These three send जीव back and forth in the avagaman chakra. So प्रभु को मानते. किसी ने तारक अनिर्दिष्ट ने कि जिस परमेश्वर को इच्छा सब जीव उत्पन्न होते हैं, वहाँ परमात्मा इसके आपको जाने के अपने बुद्धि से विचार करते हैं. God has given you an intellect. You look at the intellect. You look at the circumstances and all what I have told you, and you now arrive at a decision. So when Parikshit listens to this, मैं नाम की बता सा, I cannot call the name of the one who has performed such an atrocious act. किसने तुम मुझ पर विचार करे यहाँ वृषरूप धारण के धर्म और गौरूप धारण के वहाँ शुद्र बाप कलियुग हैं. And then for his own self, by what is called now deductive reasoning, by inference, by looking at everything that's in front of him and deducting from what has been said. That's why sometimes when we speak, we are not aware of what we say. I was telling young Rajiv one day, I'm able to identify some things. I say the principal of the acting principal of the Springvale Hindu is here and her family. I'm a teacher. Panditji is a past teacher. Pandit Hemraj is a teacher. Sometimes we're able to identify children when they copy by the mistake they make, when they copy the wrong thing. You know that? That's how we just tell they copy, When you see they copying from one another, they copy the wrong thing too. They ain't copy the right thing only. They copy what right and they copy what wrong too. That's how we sketch, Miss Judy? Yeah? And kill them dead, they're smarter than we. Every generation that's coming up. Panditji and Miss Judy's lucky they out, we still in. Kill them dead, they're smarter than we by 10 miles. Every generation that comes in, every form one that I have to interact with, man, you're making joke. These new form ones, they're different. I go to school with a different phone, they say Babs, apparently they come with Babs. Them children tell me again, new phone. Them children watching where you're driving and where you're wearing, but they can't finish my homework. And so I just give them a hard time. This is the generation, this is jigyasa kya karte hain. Curiosity is driving everything, and times are changing, and so is the mode of thought, of thinking, changing with the times. So he says, of course, by listening, he says, "Oh great one, tum gaudupadharani hai. You are the earth in the form of the cow because of the atrocious acts that are being performed by you on your surface. You are unable to do it. Ya Shudra Kal Yuga hai. This king disguised, Shudra disguised as a king is Kal Yuga. Ik dushta dharma pavato ka dharani dukha aur is Vasundhara Swami Parameshwar Pardha Dham chale isliye aankhon se aansu bhare chintan hai." That, oh goddess, you have tears in your eyes because you think when your Lord has left this earth, you have no one to protect you. Tapaha saucha daya satyamiti pada prakirtita ardame shasriya bhavagna syama dange stada idaninam dharnapadiste satyam nivartaye tataha tam nikjikrisha dharmona yamatrena dhitaha kali. You, O great one, are no other than dharma itself. Satyam, Sauch, Daya and Dan. Your four legs represent the four pillars, the basic pillars of Sanatana Dharma. Satya, truth. Sauch, cleanliness. Not only when we clean the home clothes. Inner, what is called Antarshuddhi and Baharshuddhi, internal cleanliness. Outer cleanliness comes from detergents and all of the beauty products that we use to cleanse ourselves. But internally, Hamare Prabhu Havaguna Chetana. Internally it has to come from breath, fasting, and easiest. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudev. You are no other than such a father. You're that in the age of Satyug, you were standing on four pillars of dharma were there, but with the passage of time, in each age of the 4 H's, one particular trait has been destroyed, and now you are left standing only on one footer. उन दोनों होते हैं देवता. तप सत्य शौच दयादान और धर्म के असंज विस्मय परश्री. Tap, Sat and Sauch, they have been replaced by, of course, Padasri. Padasri means live a vicarious, we live a life without care. We break every social barrier that there is without any reflection of whether it's right or it's wrong. We stand there, we do what we want without thinking of the consequences and not caring of those who see or not see. Prasanga, attachment, and mud, pride, these three have been things. Yaha teen pravritho teen chudat tutkarik charan shesho rage hain. You only stand on one foot now, and that is done. एक चरण तुम्हारा है यह कलयुग तोड़ना चाहे थे क्योंकि झूठ बोले यह कलयुग बढ़ते हैं. You are afraid to say who the culprit is because it is now his time to rule. भगवान भाव रखे जिसका दूर किया इसे सती वसुंधरा पद को तब ब्राह्मण महारते राजने प्रताप प्रति शांत तीक्ष्ण खंग. When he realizes what it is, Parikshit draws his sword. धर्म को कलयुग बद के निमित्त उठाए जब कलयुग को देखा महाबलवान राजा के समेत क्रोध बढ़ कर आए हैं. And when he sees that he can be destroyed, he drops all of his emblems and he bows. राजा बोले कि अर्जुन शरीर यशस्वी हाथ जोड़े कोड शरणाई हैं नहीं अधर्म को रूप बताएं से. He says, this is my time to rule, O great king. This is my age. This is the time when I have to. My time has come. Then what, of course, what you do? Shigratache chala nardeha se. Your grandfather Arjun is to keep me away, but now that time is gone. Lobha nritya chauda murta ahankar. Papa maya klesh damba adhik kahte hain. Greed, vices, maya, pride, abhimani. Abhimani means full of false pride. Anritya, murta, this is the qualities that prevailed under me. Hey Maharaj, then of course, if you were to do this, तुम्हारी आज्ञा से जहाँ रहूँगा वहाँ है. Says, don't stay here. Parikshit tells him, I don't want you to stay anywhere where there are the devotees of the Lord. Chara Yoga saying, each yuga has its age, its time, O great one. So, O Parikshit, tell me now a place where I can go. Sutavacha, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, Jutambanam Sri Suna Yata Dharmas Chaturveda, Punishcha Yachmanaya Jatarupadat Prabhu Tato Nityam Madam Kamadacho Vairam, Panchamam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. He says, you can stay in certain places. इस प्रकार कलियो प्रार्थना कलियो के स्थान लगाएं जहाँ होते हैं, जहाँ मदिरा की बिकती हैं. He tells him now where to go and stay. जहाँ मदिरा से, you know, is Madira. Sometimes somebody given we have direction to go for puja. I say, wait where you live in, boy. He say, Baba, when you reach this shop, and you know which shop it is, not Ram shop. He say, you go turn left there. I say, beta wrong landmark for a pandit. Madira ki ghar se. In this type of place, Kaliyug. और विकती हो जहाँ वैश्य को रहते हैं, in the home, in the places where ladies of ill repute stay, और जहाँ जीव हिंसा है, in the slaughterhouses. This is the third spot he given. And of course, जहाँ जुआ होते हैं, where they play games of dice, gambling. Stay in these four places. 4 दिन के 4 बिनती कृपा सिंधु कुटुंब बहुत ही रहे. Stay there with your family. और स्थान में संयोग तुम राजा ने सोने के तुम रहो. When he complain, he say, look at the place you gave me to stay. Only bad places. Oh God, give me some place good to stay, so that I can stay too, man. तब राजा ने कहा सोने भी तुम रहो. He said, then fear. Then go and sit in gold. तुम सोने रहो. Have your influence. इस प्रकार झूठ मद काम रजोगुण का बैर को 5 स्थान और दिया है. Wherever you stay in these places, increase the qualities of those who come there and cause them, of course. जो पुरुष धर्म रुचि गए हैं, when he get these 5 places, my dear friends, gold is the last one. Now, that begs the question, should we not buy gold and wear gold at all because it's a bad thing? No, it's not. It's also the embodiment of Lakshmi. If you buy gold and you do bless it, you're in trouble. Must infuse Lakshmi into it first before you wear. Srishtate Lakshmisha Patkanya Bahorate Pashve Nakshatrani Rupamashunam Vyatam Mikannakana Mo Maikana Sarvalokam Maikana. Lakshmi must sit in it. Hum mangate ma sona kaha, hum mangate ma chandi kaha. And if I don't get gold and silver from you, ma, hum to bhagate itna mangate, bhoga na koi soya. At least if you don't give me any gold and silver, give me a plate of food so when I go to sleep my stomach full. Hey Anatan ki Maharani Bhojan. Yes. So Parikshit given this, and of course as we come to the end, this will become the cause of his trouble. One day he went hunting, and when he would enter up into the home of the great Samik Maharishi, and the Rishi will be in dhyan, meditation, and he was afflicted with thirst. He had a crown on his head, and he thought that the Rishi was insensitive to his arrival. He's a king, and he thought he should be treated as such, as per protocol. And when that did not happen, because the Rishi was in Samadhi, he was merged into oneness with God. He says this Rishi wants to play that he is greater than I am, so he takes a lifeless body of a serpent and he wears it like a mala. And he says, let me give him an adornment that is befitting his stature. He has no respect for me, and I am the king. Then I will outfit him with that which I think is deserving of him. And he places, of course, a lifeless serpent around the neck of the Rishi. When the little boys who are playing there, this Rishi has a little son by the name of Sringi Maharishi. यहाँ Sringi क्रोध के नाल रहते भरत समान कर बालक को कौशिकी नदी के जल हाथ में लेकर राजा के. He goes to the river, and when the little boys come and tell him, hey, look Raja Parikshit, take a dead serpent and put it on as a mala for your father. He takes some water in his hands, and so powerful he is. He is known for his chastity. His purity is in his chastity. His strength is his chastity. He remains pure, and because of such, Vak Vajraha, his words become like lightning. Vak is word, Vajra is lightning. आज से 7 दिन मर्यादा नाशकुल में अंगर रूप मेरे भेजा को तक्षक कर्म मेरे द्रोह काते हैं. That one who has placed that lifeless serpent around the neck of my father, insulted my father, made a king of serpents by the name of Takshak, remove him within 7 days time. पीछे आसन पर अपने पिता के सर पकड़ बहुते दुखी हुआ घोड़े मार मार नोले गए. And he starts to cry in the top of his voice. And from there, my dear friend, is when the rishis had asked what had caused the great Parikshit to surrender onto the feet of Sri Krishna and be given the golden opportunity to listen to Bhagwat Saptaha. Dakshyame kalangade chatine tadbrutam. It would be this, of course, that will, this particular incident will trigger the recitation of this Bhagwat. As such, you would hear Shukadev explaining to Raja Parikshit, realizing now that 7 days is there only for him to live. He gives up everything. और गंगा किनारे की बैठ कर और मुनि लोग को समाज के देखोगा. And he goes, पूछते हैं कि हम मैं क्या करूं. And he asked them that, now what should I do? Where am I to go? What has to be done? And Bhagavan tells us, of course, when we meet on the other occasion, from here begins beautiful recitation of the glories of Sri Krishna.